Now this hour we start in the Middle East, where in Syria's southern Sweida province, fresh violence has broken out. State-run Ekbaria TV reports that armed groups attacked members of the country's internal security forces, killing one and wounding others. Now the death toll has risen to 2. Shells were also fired at multiple villages, violating a recently agreed ceasefire in the mostly Druze region. The clashes first flared on July the 13th between Druze factions and tribal groups over long-standing tensions. Despite a US-brokered truce, violence continues to escalate. We're now joined by Professor Madhav Nalapat, who's the editorial director of the Sunday Guardian. He joins us live from New Delhi. Professor Nalapat, thank you very much for joining us here on NewsX World. There was obviously a huge escalation in violence in southern Syria, Sweida province in particular, where we saw the deaths of hundreds of people, both Druze, Bedouin and others. The US then brokered a ceasefire between Israel and Syria, which has led to a fragile truce being held ever since. What is your analysis of the region and how fragile is this truce between Druze and other groups in this southern region of Syria?
Look, I personally feel it's a very fragile truce, and if we can call it that, for a simple reason that the regime in power in Damascus is essentially a regime largely composed of former terrorists. I mean, al-Jilani, now called al-Shara, he's had a shave, he's had a haircut, he wears suits, but that doesn't change the fact that if you look him up under his real name, al-Jilani, you will find a chain of terror attacks. So the reality of the situation is that to the Wahhabis, and frankly, al-Jilani belongs to one of the extreme factions of what is itself a fringe, the Wahhabi fringe. The Alawites, the religious group to which Bashar al-Assad belongs to, are apostates, according to the Wahhabis. They're apostates. They're not even Muslim. And if you look at it from that point of view, Druze and others, anybody who has a different method of worship than what they regard as correct, which is a very, very narrow band of worship, frankly, not representative of the great religion of Islam, but they regard them as apostates. So given that situation, I would disbelieve that the Syrian forces suffered the casualties. I think the casualties are much more on the other side, and I don't believe the carnage in Syria has stopped at all. We have stopped reporting on it. On the assumption the ceasefire is holding, the world's media have turned their attention away from Syria, but the reality is, my information is, every day killings are going on, mainly of those who are not Wahhabis, and it's going on for loyal to the government led by al-Jilani.
Okay. Professor Nalapat, what do you think about the future of Syria? Obviously, we've seen them trying to become closer with the West. We've seen Donald Trump lift sanctions on them. And however, as you have mentioned, that there has been violence, especially in the last few weeks. What do you think the future of Syria holds?
Look, you ask the Israelis, they will tell you exactly what sort of a government is in power in Syria, what sort of groups are in power in Syria. And very frankly, they're coming from a Wahhabi sect, which is different from the sect to which terror groups affiliated with Iran belong to. But the fact is that they are very much part of a terror network. and that they have therefore been subject of relentless strikes by IDF forces, Israeli forces. So, very honestly, I don't see any let up in that situation. And as for the future of Syria, well, I hope that the Syrian country is once again unified, but it can only be under a government composed of all the different groups and a government composed of a group that abjures violence. Violence and the pursuit of violence, the perpetration of violence, and the running of a smooth democracy, well, they do not go together. Thank you.
Professor Nallaput, how important is Syria as a region for the stability of the Middle East, especially in recent times?
Look, I'd like to say that the Middle East is a region where you've got, for example, the GCC countries who are completely moderate and who have absolutely a very high level of tolerance, and who basically are completely abhorrent. For them, terror is abhorrent. But you have also these kind of fringe elements running countries such as Syria, which are totally different. And in my personal view, the future of the Arab people, I know the Arab people, they're a very courteous, very friendly people, overall a wonderful people. I visited Arab countries several times. I've always been treated very, very hospitably and very respectfully, despite there being differences of views on faiths. So I'd like to say that should be the future of Syria. As of now, I don't see it happening, but should be the future of Syria, a tolerant, moderate democracy.
Yes, thank you very much, Madhav Nallaput, for joining us here on the programme. We now stay in the region and move to the Gaza crisis.